Now entering the elevator to the retail underground. Enjoy the descent to the subversive layer of knowledge.
Alright everyone, let's talk about Yahoo. Many of you may not remember the Yahoo of yesteryear, the prime Yahoo, not the one that Father Time has beaten down. Once a giant of the internet, today they seem to be more a shell of their former self. They actually predate the likes of Google, Amazon, and many other top names and companies around the internet. Yet nowadays, they're almost like a punchline. Now, I admit, I still browse the Yahoo site from time to time, but more so out of boredom than anything else. The question is, what happened to them? At least that's what I want to know. How did they go from being so big to somewhat of an afterthought in literally only about 15 to 20 years? What happened? Well, honestly, it's kind of a sad story. Let's start from the beginning. Yahoo was founded by Jerry Yang and David Filo. Yang received a bachelor's degree from Stanford University in the mid-90s and was working on his PhD when he met David, who also happened to be working on his PhD in electrical engineering at the same exact time. Needless to say, the two hit it off and became fast friends. Now keep in mind, this was the mid-90s and the internet wasn't at all what it is today. In fact, many people still weren't connected to or even understood the web. Well, Jerry and David used to spend their free time surfing the internet and learning as much as they could. They quickly became obsessed with the capabilities that it offered, but struggled to understand why no one had tried to categorize or organize data and websites into one central location for easy browsing. And that's when the idea struck. They decided to build out a site where they could organize all their favorite websites that they enjoyed. It wasn't necessarily meant to be for anything other than organizing their favorites and making them easy to search and find, but I think everyone can see where I'm going with this. Before long, they built up a fairly impressive site that worked great for categorizing and subcategorizing websites and data, making it an easy way to navigate through the internet, kind of like a modern search engine. Shortly after its launch, they officially named the site Yahoo. Now, it's rumored that the name Yahoo came about because they wanted to reflect the wild, wild west nature of the internet at the time. Now, I don't know about any of that, but you can't deny that the name sticks with you and you never forget it. It's short, sweet, to the point. Timeless, really. The other thing that you can't deny is the popularity and growth of Yahoo in the early years. By the end of their first year, they were seeing over 170,000 people use their site per day. Now keep in mind, again, this is during the earlier days of the internet. This is in the 90s. Not many people were familiar with the internet and even less used it. This just goes to show the use case that they had and had created. The problem is that neither of the two co-founders had any business experience. While they were trying to perfect their directory, they were also trying to finish their PhD programs, and it just became too much for them. Ultimately, they decided to drop out of the PhD programs and ended up hiring someone to run the company. That someone was Tim Kugel, an experienced executive from Motorola who took over as CEO. Although they did receive an investment round of $1 million shortly after Kugel came on, it was internet advertising that quickly became their big revenue generator. The strategy was simple enough. Yahoo got a ton of traffic each and every day. They knew this. Other companies knew this. And they wanted to get their products in front of these customers that they were getting on their site every day. So they began to pay Yahoo advertising fees to place their ads at various spots on the Yahoo main page and category pages. Everything seemed to be going so well. So well, in fact, that in April of 1996, they went public and had an IPO, or initial public offering, and had one of the largest first-day trading gains of all time. Fast forward 5 years to 2001, they'd become the world's most popular website and would stay on top for the next 5 years. Heck, in 2008, they even got an offer from Microsoft to buy them for a staggering $44.6 billion. I mean, guys, think about that for a second. Almost $45 billion. Unfortunately, Yahoo declined the offer. I think we can all see where this is headed. Less than 10 years later, in 2017, Yahoo was purchased by Verizon for $4.48 billion. Ouch. So in 9 years, they had an offer that was almost 90% less than the one that was on the table beforehand. So they accepted an offer almost 90% less. Wow. So what happened? How did they fall that far that fast? Not that $4.48 billion is anything terrible, but still, compared to what they had, it still had to hurt. So really, what happened? Well, honestly, a lot of things. Probably the biggest culprit is their inability to focus on any one thing. So many companies get great because they focus on their core competencies and being great at those few things. For Yahoo, that never really took hold. They preferred to try and be everything to every person. Let me explain. Need to check the stock market? Go to Yahoo Finance. Want to do some online shopping? Check out Yahoo Shopping. Looking to get today's news? Check out Yahoo News. You get the picture. Too much, too soon. Nothing wrong with wanting to branch out, but sometimes the problem lies with how it's done. Rather than doing things internally, Yahoo is also famous for purchasing other companies that already did what they were wanting to do, believing they could rebrand and take over an already successful business and take a competitor off the table in the meantime. They actually conducted over 100 of these deals. You see, the problem with this method is that it can get very expensive if the deals don't work out. When things are going well and the acquisitions are solid, life is good and business is good. However, if you're missing more than you're hitting, that can spell trouble. Just ask billionaire Mark Cuban about it. In one of their worst deals that they made in history, Yahoo purchased Broadcast.com from Cuban in 1999 for $5.7 billion worth of Yahoo stock, turning him into an overnight billionaire. A few years later, the project was shut down. Speaking of misses, that brings up the elephant in the room. The thing that everyone is waiting for me to discuss. Google. Ah, yes, Google, the eighth wonder of the world. No, but seriously, Google has played a major role in all of this too. Much like Netflix to Blockbuster, Google has been significant in the downfall of Yahoo. And much like Blockbuster had the chance to buy Netflix early on, Yahoo actually had the chance to buy Google early on too. You see, in 2002, Yahoo had the chance to buy Google for $3 billion. But turned it down. Now I know, yes, that sounds like a ton of money because it is. $3 billion is in fact $3 billion. That's a lot of money. However, after seeing some of the other bad deals that they made, such as the one that was discussed above that was almost twice the asking price of what Google was going for, and given what we know about Google today, it would have been the steal of the century. Google has essentially today become one of the juggernauts of the internet and what Yahoo set out to be from the beginning. They've just been able to do it better and more efficient. Remember how we said before that Yahoo struggles to focus on any one thing? Well, Google got great at being a search engine and simplifying the internet for so many people. But they also took the concept of diversifying to other things, such as what Yahoo was doing. It's just that Google did it better, and many times it did it internally if they were able to, rather than constantly spending to purchase large companies. If they did expand, they did so very strategically and smartly. Case in point, their purchase of YouTube to get into the video streaming space early. Google also got heavy into the advertising ring that Yahoo practically invented. Again, the problem is Google has grown so large and has so many companies that they've acquired and been strategic about, they're the clear-cut number one in the search engine space by a long shot, thus making them the number one advertising possibility as well. Nonetheless, I can't help but feel that there's always that what if. What if they would have bought Google? How different would things look today? I'd say very different. Very interesting nonetheless, but I digress. Wow, okay, that's a lot to unpack there, and honestly, there's a lot more that could be talked about, but I don't want to keep this video too long for you guys. So let's recap. Initially, Yahoo's biggest strength was being first to market with this new idea, and they grew very, very quickly from that. However, as competitors started to arrive, it didn't take long for them to start falling behind. I think it's safe to say that the decline of Yahoo really can be attributed to slow reaction time to new competitors and shifting market landscapes, inability to focus and be great on any one thing, and a really poor acquisition record. But let me know in the comments below, everyone. Do you agree with my assessment about the decline of Yahoo? As always, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.